The sound of silver scissors cutting a cream silk ribbon was followed by a burst of applause and flashbulbs. Harper Davis, founder and CEO of the Artisan Collective, a global brand of unique handcrafted products and custom homewares, stood in front of my 50th flagship store, a glamorous space on New York's prestigious Fifth Avenue. A confident and satisfied smile spread across my face as I looked out at the crowd of press investors, celebrities, and loyal customers who had come to celebrate. Amidst the jubilant crowd, my gaze suddenly stopped. A group of people were painfully familiar, but somehow forced to push their way to the front of the line as if to make their presence felt. My sister Olivia held her husband Mark Johnson tightly, and right behind them were my parents Robert and Susan Davis. Their smiles were strained, their eyes expectant and a little calculating. Mark Johnson. I still remember his condescending smirk, the way he smirked at me when I, a young woman in her early 20s, proudly showed off my first little artisanal bakery, Harper's Sweet Bites, to my family. "Oh, a bakery," he said, his voice full of condescension. "Cute. Just killing time, little Harper. When are you going to get a real job?" And the most painful thing was my entire family, including my beloved sister Olivia, sided with him. They laughed at my dream, calling it childish, a pipe dream with no future. Now, 12 years later, when that little bakery to kill time has grown into $1 million empire, when the name Harper Davis has become known to the world, they come back with sweet words, fake intimate gestures, and perhaps an attractive investment opportunity that they want me to consider. Life is truly a talented director with scenarios full of surprises and ironies. The Davis family lived in a quiet suburb of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My parents were typical middle-class people. My father, Robert, was a longtime accountant for an insurance company. My mother, Susan, was a retired elementary school teacher. They weren't rich, but they tried to provide my sister and I with a decent life, and more importantly, they wanted us to have a stable, secure future with a decent job and a prestigious college degree. I, Harper, am the youngest daughter. Since I was a child, I have had a strong passion for baking, cooking, and creating small, beautiful handmade items. The family kitchen has always been my favorite laboratory, where I experiment with new cake recipes and unique desserts. I also love to make my own scented candles from natural beeswax, herbal soaps, or small, beautiful ceramic items. I dream of one day having my own small shop, a cozy space where I can share my passion with everyone, where each product contains love and meticulousness. My sister Olivia is 5 years older than me. She is beautiful, smart, and the pride of her parents. Olivia graduated from a prestigious university and quickly married Mark Johnson, a young, talented lawyer who works for a prestigious downtown law firm. Mark comes from a wealthy family and has a higher social status than my family. He is intelligent and elegant, but also extremely egotistical, always thinking he is the center of the universe, and tends to look down on people who are not of the same class or who do not pursue the same orthodox and prestigious paths as he does. Olivia loved her husband very much and perhaps was also somewhat afraid or heavily influenced by the views and values of Mark and his family. She gradually distanced herself from her family's simple interests and always tried to appear to fit in with her husband's high-class world. After graduating from high school, instead of applying to colleges like my parents expected, and my sister Olivia set an example, I decided to pursue my own dream. I spent a year taking professional baking courses, studying small business, and preparing everything myself. With a small amount of savings from my part-time job and a small loan from my only close friend who truly believed in me, Ben Carter, I happily opened Harper's Sweet Bites, a small handmade bakery located on a not-so-busy but crowded street. The bakery is small with only a few rustic wooden tables but is decorated with all my love and creativity. Each cake, each candy is handmade by me with the freshest ingredients and with all my heart. I am extremely proud of this first brainchild and eagerly await the support of my family. But what I got in return was only contempt and ridicule. At a family gathering that weekend, when I excitedly told about my bakery, about the first customers, about the positive feedback, Mark Johnson, my precious brother-in-law, smirked a smile that I will never forget. "Oh, a bakery? He said, his voice full of condescension, emphasizing the word bakery as if it were something small and insignificant. "That's interesting, Harper. It's a nice hobby to pass the time while you wait for a real job, right? Or maybe you're planning on opening this bakery so that you can have a place for Olivia's kids to come over." He even tried to compare it to his important, responsible job as a lawyer. I was stunned, feeling like someone had just poured a bucket of cold water on the fire of passion burning inside me. I looked at Olivia, hoping she would say something to protect me, but she just kept quiet, bowed her head and fondled the diamond ring on her hand, then softly said, her voice a little awkward, "Harper, Mark is right. You should be a little more realistic. Opening a bakery like this is hard work and it's not stable. Why don't you take a business administration course and I'll ask Mark to get you a job at his friend's company?" My parents, after listening to the experienced analysis of their successful son-in-law, also agreed. "That's right, son." My father said, his voice a little disappointed. "Why don't you study something else to get a degree, then apply to a big company to work like Mark or Olivia? Opening this tiny bakery, not knowing when it will get better, and it's also unstable." My mother sighed. "I'm only worried about your future, Harper. If a girl keeps doing business like this, people will laugh at her. Besides, without a college degree, it will be difficult to find a good husband in the future." Even Olivia's husband's family, on the rare occasions I met them, did not hesitate to make contemptuous and sarcastic remarks about my rustic bakery. They thought I was unambitious, satisfied with small things, and completely unworthy of standing with successful and high-status people like them. Those harsh words and contemptuous looks did not stop at that family gathering. They lasted for many years after that, like a sad and painful refrain in my life. Whenever we had the chance to meet, whether it was during holidays, Tet, or rare family gatherings, Mark Johnson, and sometimes Olivia, along with my parents' support, never forgot to hint or even directly talk about the unrealistic, futureless, not worth worrying about of my small business. "Are you still selling those cheap cookies at your bakery?" Mark often asked sarcastically. "Are there many customers, or do you have to sit around all day?" Harper, Olivia also pretends to be concerned. They never gave me a word of encouragement, even if it was just a social one. They never helped me financially, even if it was just a small loan when I was in the most difficult time. They never introduced me to any customers, even though they knew many people. They never even once stepped foot in my bakery to support me, even if it was just to buy a small cake. They constantly compared me to my cousins who were successful according to their standards, prestigious university degrees, stable jobs in large corporations, and sky-high salaries. Look at Uncle Peter's Michael, he just got promoted to branch manager of a bank, and Aunt Mary's Susan is already a resident at a major hospital. They are the pride of the family, not struggling with trivial things like you. My parents often said this with disappointed faces. I felt extremely lonely in my thorny entrepreneurial journey. There was no support from my family, no understanding from my loved ones. Only Ben Carter, my best friend, co-founder of Harper's Sweet Bites with me, was always by my side, believing in my vision, in my ability. We shared together the difficulties, the failures, and the small joys of getting the first customers, the first compliments. At first, I was very sad, very disappointed, even angry at the contempt and lack of trust from my family. Tears fell countless times during the long, lonely nights. There were times when I wondered if I was wrong, if I should give up this dream to follow the path that everyone wanted. But then that contempt, those harsh words, became a strong motivation, a flame of hatred transformed into extraordinary will. I told myself that I had to succeed, had to prove to all of them that they were wrong, that this little bakery was not a child's play, but a real career, a burning passion. The early days of starting a business were extremely difficult. Harper's Sweet Bites was just a small bakery nestled on a not-so-busy street. We were severely undercapitalized, lacked management experience, and faced fierce competition from large bakery chains and well-known brands. There were days when we only sold a few cakes, not enough to pay for rent and ingredients. There were nights when Ben and I had to stay up all night making cakes, then delivering them to customers ourselves. But we did not give up. We believed in the quality of our products, in the uniqueness, in the difference. We paid attention to each cake, every little detail, in the way we decorated the shop, in the way we served our customers. We listened to every suggestion, constantly learned, constantly improved. Then one day, luck smiled on us. A small article on a local food blog praising the special taste and dedication of Harper's Sweet Bites unexpectedly attracted the attention of the community. Customers began to come more and more. Then a few celebrities in the entertainment industry, foodies, happened to stop by our bakery, enjoyed it, and posted compliments on social media. Harper's Sweet Bites suddenly became a phenomenon, a must-visit destination for pastry lovers in Philadelphia. At an event connecting small businesses and potential investors where I was invited to share my startup story, my unique idea, burning passion, and initial successes caught the special attention of Ms. Evelyn Reed. Ms. Reed is an extremely successful Asian American businesswoman, founder and president of a large investment fund specializing in supporting women-owned businesses and innovative sustainable projects. She has also experienced a thorny startup path, so she understands the difficulties and appreciates the efforts of young people like me. Evelyn Reed saw in Harper's Sweet Bites not only a delicious bakery, but also a much greater potential for growth, a scalable business model, a brand that could reach the world. She was impressed by the quality of the products, the uniqueness of the idea, the dedication in the way I worked, and especially the passion that never went out in my eyes. Mrs. Reed decided to invest a large amount of capital in my company, and at the same time became a strategic advisor who showed me new directions and broader visions. "Harper," she said to me with a warm smile, "you have a natural talent and a passionate heart. Never let the negative words of others discourage you. Believe in yourself and dare to dream bigger dreams. This world needs strong and creative women like you." With strong financial investment and wise strategic direction from Ms. Evelyn Reed, along with the consensus and continuous efforts of me, Ben Carter, and the growing staff, Harper's Sweet Bites has made great strides in development. We did not stop at opening more branches of the bakery, but also boldly expanded into other fields that I have long had a passion for. We started designing and producing other unique handmade product lines, such as natural scented candles, organic herbal soaps, artistic ceramics, vintage home decor, and even sustainable fashion collections made from environmentally friendly materials. To reflect our diversity and new vision, we decided to rebrand as the Artisan Collective, a name that represents connection, honoring talented artisans, and exquisite handcrafted products. We are not only focused on developing a chain of physical retail stores, but also building a powerful, modern online platform where artisans and small designers from all over the world can introduce, promote, and sell their products to millions of global customers. We focus on telling the stories behind each product, each artisan, so that customers do not just buy an item, but also buy a cultural value, a love, and a respect. The Artisan Collective quickly became a beloved brand, a symbol of creativity, quality, refined lifestyle, and a sense of responsibility to the community. Our chain of stores is present in most major cities in the U.S. and many other countries around the world. Our online platform attracts millions of visits every day, generating huge revenue. And I, Harper Davis, the small bakery owner who was once looked down upon and ridiculed by my family, became a self-made millionaire founder and CEO of a multi-billion-dollar retail and e-commerce empire. I was invited to speak at major economic forums, received many prestigious awards for innovation for women's leadership in business, and became a role model, an inspiration for millions of young people around the world to dare to pursue their passion, dare to go their own way. And now at the grand opening of the Artisan Collective's 50th flagship store on New York's swanky Fifth Avenue, a momentous occasion that marked a major milestone in my career, I was faced with them again, my sister Olivia, my brother-in-law Mark Johnson, and my parents. Over the years, their lives have changed a lot, but not in the good direction they had expected. Mark Johnson's law practice, after a few scandals related to professional ethics and bad investment decisions, is no longer what it used to be. He no longer holds a high position in that prestigious law firm, but has to struggle with a small law office with few clients. The star of the past has now become obscured. Olivia, after quitting her job to stay home to take care of the children according to her husband's wishes, also feels that life is boring, meaningless, and dependent. My parents are retired, have not much savings, and they are always worried about the future of their eldest daughter and once very successful son-in-law. When they heard the news of the extraordinary success of Harper Davis, the stubborn youngest daughter from back then, now a rich and powerful businesswoman, they probably couldn't sit still any longer. They tried every way to get an invitation to this event with a purpose that was not difficult to guess. After the main ceremonies of the ceremony ended, while I was busy welcoming important guests, they tried to push their way to the front with somewhat forced smiles and eyes full of anticipation. "Harper, honey." My mother spoke first, her voice trembling slightly. "Congratulations. You did so well. We are so proud of you." My father also nodded his eyes, showing a hint of remorse. Olivia held her husband's hand tightly, trying to smile brightly. Then Mark Johnson, still with his usual, though somewhat diminished confidence, stepped forward and extended his hand to shake mine. "Congratulations, Harper. I knew you would do great. You are the pride of the Davis family," he said, his voice unbelievably sweet. After a few pleasantries, some fake compliments, and some forced reminiscing about old times, Mark Johnson finally got to the point. He hinted at a potential new business venture he was working on, one involving luxury real estate, and offered to invite Harper to invest together. "With your vision and resources along with my experience and connections," he said, his eyes lighting up, "we're sure to make a big splash in the market." Hearing those words, I couldn't help but feel a bitter irony. The polite smile on my lips remained the same, but inside a wave of complex emotions was rolling. Surprise at Mark Johnson's unchanged brazenness. The pain and contempt they had given me back then, despite trying to bury it, still flashed back, stinging a little. But now I was no longer the weak, vulnerable Harper of the past. I was strong enough, confident enough to face everything. Perhaps there was also a bit of indescribable joy when seeing our positions completely reversed, when the person who used to laugh at me now had to humble himself to beg for my cooperation. I politely listened to Mark's proposal without interrupting or showing any attitude. When he finished speaking, I slowly spoke, my voice calm, but with an undisguised coldness. "Thank you for the compliment, Mark," I said, looking him straight in the eye. "I still remember the day you laughed at my cute bakery to kill time. You said I should get a real job instead of messing around with those unrealistic things. And yet, today, how interesting, you want this family pride, the person you once despised the most, to invest in your important and promising project." I paused for a moment, looking at Olivia and my parents, who were bowing their heads, avoiding my gaze. I still remember those difficult days when I struggled through everything alone, without a word of encouragement, without any support from my loved ones. Where were you all then? My straightforward, unabashed words left Mark Johnson speechless. His usual confidence vanished, replaced by confusion, shame, and perhaps even a little anger at being exposed. Olivia burst into tears. My parents bowed their heads even more, not daring to say a word. The greatest punishment for them, perhaps, was not my rejection, but my overwhelming success, and the fact that they had to humble themselves to ask for help from the very person they had once despised, and despised the most. It was a very expensive lesson for their short-sightedness, selfishness, and patriarchy. I don't want to prolong this awkward situation. I also don't want to let negative emotions from the past affect the joy of today. "I'm sorry, Mark," I said, my voice firm, but still polite. "The Artisan Collective has very strict investment criteria and processes, and I'm afraid your project doesn't fit our development strategy at this time. Furthermore, I have a personal rule: never invest in people who have laughed at my dreams and efforts." As for Olivia, I looked at her, my voice somewhat sad. "I've always wished for a sister who would stand by me, would protect me from the harsh words of others, Olivia. But you chose to stand by him, chose silence. I'm very disappointed." As for my parents, I knew they were truly remorseful, but the wounds of their hearts did not heal overnight. "Dad, Mom," I said, my voice softening a bit, "I can understand your worries back then, but the way you expressed them, the way you treated me, hurt me so much. I hope after all these years you have learned something from this story. I can forgive you for your mistakes." I continued, Because after all, you are the ones who gave birth to me and raised me. If you really have a hard time, I will not let you lack anything when you are old. But please understand our relationship will never be completely the same again. I need time and I also need my own space. I signaled to my assistant and politely sent the family home, embarrassed, disappointed, and perhaps a little belatedly awakened. I felt a strange sense of relief, as if an invisible burden that had been weighing on my soul for so many years had finally been lifted. The past, painful as it was behind me. I returned to the party with smiles, sincere congratulations from friends, partners, people who truly believed in and supported me. I looked back at the magnificent flagship store of the Artisan Collective, a symbol of my success, of my perseverance, and of my never-ending passion. I smiled a truly happy and proud smile. I am grateful to Ben Carter, my best friend, who has been with me through the toughest times. I am grateful to Evelyn Reed, my teacher and mentor, who saw my potential and gave me the opportunity to change my life. I will continue to develop the Artisan Collective, bringing unique handmade products, meaningful stories of creativity and love of work to more people around the world. I may establish a charity fund in my name to support young people with small but potential startup ideas, people who dare to think differently, dare to do differently, dare to follow their own path no matter how thorny that path is. They used to laugh at my cute little shop to kill time. Now that little shop has become a powerful empire, and those who used to laugh at me, used to look down on me, have to come and beg me to invest. Life sometimes knows how to arrange such sweet ironies. And I am extremely proud of daring to follow my own path, daring to live with my passion, even though that path is not smooth, not easy. That is the greatest success, the true pride of Harper Davis. When your brother-in-law and the whole family who once laughed at and looked down on your small startup dream now come to you begging for investment cooperation when you have become a successful millionaire, how will you react? Is Harper Davis's decision a reasonable balance between maintaining self-respect, professionalism, and a little bit of humanity left? Is there any chance of completely mending this deeply fractured family relationship? Or is it necessary to keep a certain distance? Share your thoughts and feelings about this story.